Hey, so hi Sally,
Oh yeah.
and welcome again. So yeah, you were gonna just share something about your experience last night in the masterclass. So if you don't mind doing that, that'd be great.
So came on the masterclass because I'd invited some people to come on. So I thought I'd better attend, but I wasn't like paying 100% attention to the 10-step program and the meditation. So I was kind of just writing things in my diary and listening to it, but still it worked. It still brought up some information. So you said, think of an issue. I thought of my jaw, a slight wobbly tooth I'd had, and it came up in the meditation about attack, that I felt attacked. I had dental stuff when I was a child, and I felt my body could be attacked, and I felt attacked by dentists, and then I was attacking myself, thinking the thoughts, and revenge was the emotion that came up in the 10-step process, and it flabbergasted me. It really did. It was like, well, where did that come from? I didn't know any of that stuff was in my energy. And I went to bed really kind of quite stunned by it. And I woke up this morning thinking about it, thinking, wow, how we attack ourselves and how subtly we attack ourselves and how it's so subconscious you don't know you're doing it. And you might get, a clue in the environment in some way, but it's so subtle, and that just stunned me, and it just brought me back to the whole how we attack, and there's only love, going back to unconditional love. But it's been a very good lesson. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
ridiculous suffering for no reason.
well, that's what these processes do. They reveal stuff out of the subconscious that's hidden, and it's quite shocking sometimes. Oh my God, I'm attacking myself. So all pain and suffering that often gets externalized through the body is really self-attack. Expression of a death wish, expression of the desire to punish ourselves, take revenge on ourselves for the apparent sin of destroying perfect love. Does that make any sense whatsoever? If you really look at it, it's just crazy. You can't destroy perfect love. It's not possible. So it's never really happened. So to believe that you have done that and then seek to take revenge on yourself for doing that is completely insane. There's no foundation for it whatsoever.
In a way, I can see how it all happened. Like my mother obviously wanted to show her love for me in some way, and she didn't know how to do it. So she thought by getting my teeth right would be the right thing to do. I didn't find it loving. I felt it was attack by the medical profession and the dentist. And then I learned to attack myself, and I learned to see that I wasn't enough, or I wasn't right, or there was something wrong with me. And it goes so many layers of it, isn't there? To go back to the fundamental guilt and separation and destroying love is like so far out of our minds because of all the stories in between. It's phenomenal.
So it's an unpicking or unlayering process. It needs to happen, and doing these processes like the 10-step, going quite deep, reveals it. Can reveal things in the subconscious and that then arise into conscious awareness, and then you can deal with them, you can process them and let them go. So that's the whole methodology that we're employing, bringing it into conscious awareness from unconscious awareness, and then being able to choose to let it go and say, well, I can make another choice about this. I don't have to believe this. It's just a program which is clearly false, not true, unhelpful. So why would I want to consider even holding on to this for one moment longer? But you have to bring it into conscious awareness, because otherwise it just stays hidden in the unconscious. And so all the work we do is designed to bring stuff up, which means it's not comfortable. But it's necessary to really, if you're really going to take away all the layers, chip away all of those karmic ties and binds, the ego's psychological and emotional attachments, then this is what you have to do. And the world then shows you what you need to release. So you use the world to show you the blocks to the awareness of love's presence and let them go, which is exactly what A Course in Miracles is training us to do. So use the very mechanism the ego has invented to enslave us, which is projection of its beliefs outwards to seemingly make them true, and turn that around. Say, okay, well, this is useful because I can now see the beliefs in my mind, and they're being mirrored for me in the external world. So I don't have to guess anymore. They show themselves. So you brought a situation to mind, and then yes, you did have to do some inner reflection on it, but then it reveals through that situation, oh, well, you still have a belief in attack and revenge. And it's just playing out in that situation. And then you can just question that and say, that's just crazy. Doesn't make any sense. Insane.
And then having done that, and so I did some work on feeling attacked and attacking others and attacking the body. And now, and then I've just received an attacking text from a tenant. And I'm thinking, well, have I got more work to do, or is that just re-challenging me to make me reconfirm she's not attacking me? She's just having a bad day and she's written it all out in a text. I don't feel attacked. You know, I read the text and I feel very different than I would have done in the past. In the past, I'd have gone, oh my God. But now I just feel like I said, I'll pop round and see you this afternoon. Just made it very lighthearted and, you know, two people having a chat. So maybe it's shifted, maybe it's not. How will I know?
Well, how you know is your experience of peace. Do you still have peace?
Yeah.
Your inner experience. So, I mean, you from the sounds of it, you're a lot more peaceful than you would have been. So that's a really good sign. Have you completely collapsed all belief in attack? Well, you'll see.
Find out.
Life. If there's no belief in that, then whatever happens to you just wouldn't matter. There would be no reaction to any supposed attack from the external world. And of course you get tested on that, because that's what life does, and this illusion. So then the degree of your inner peace, the degree to which you can stay rooted in your presence, not go into the thinking mind, worry about it, stress about it, fear, respond defensively, and so on. That's the extent to which you've got it. And maybe that's not entirely, maybe there's still just a little seed of a doubt there, but then you can overcome that seed in the situation you're now presented with. That's the whole point. Still a seed of a doubt, so something manifests to reflect that, and then okay, well, let me use this to learn the lesson again. And it's the same lesson over and over. The Son of God is guiltless. There is no sin. There is no attack. There is no fear. Just accept that, even though you're seeing experiencing apparently the opposite. It's complete reversal of the world's thinking. That's what makes it challenging. You're going right up against the ego, just telling you completely the opposite and saying, no, this is not true. And that requires a lot of mental discipline to hold that.
So what I'm feeling about it at the moment, I feel peaceful. I can see what to do, just turn up and be present with her, be peaceful, and just see what happens in the present moment. And that could be a case of I take my energy into her flat and share that peacefulness with her, because I feel that's what it's all about, that she's just gone into panic mode about something. And if I go in there panic mode as well, it's two panicky people, isn't it? So if I go in there nice and calm, that might itself be a good solution. But it feels as though, yeah, that's the energetic part. Feels like the mental, emotional stuff's not there. And there's the option of doing something on the physical if I'm inspired to do so. That's very, yeah, it's different.
So that's how miracles work. You stay in the presence, you're peaceful, and then you listen to guidance. Okay, well, show me what to do. Just before you go in, use that helpfulness prayer. Helpful. Let me be truly helpful in the situation. You just have to say it once or twice and put yourself into that frame of mind. Let me be truly helpful. Well, be truly helpful to anyone is to show them unconditional love. Because remember, that's what everyone's calling for. So actually her attack is a cry for love. She's feeling fearful, she's feeling insecure, so she lashes out at someone, but actually it's just a cry for love in disguise. And then along you come as the miracle worker, and you hear the cry. You're able to see that what it's really about. And you did this before. You had a little training before with your previous tenant or another tenant.
She was the same lady.
Same lady. Okay. So she's obviously got a few, anxiety issues. And she's now having another, this is her pattern. Oh, there's something wrong, right? Let's project it out onto the landlady, because that's an easy target. But last time you resolved it, and so there's no reason you can't do that again. The happy outcome to all situations is sure, as Yeshua tells us. And so meditate on that as well. We'll do that before you go. You just hold that. Okay, I'm certain. We're talking certainty. I'm certain. I don't exactly know how it's gonna. You don't know how it's gonna play out in the level of form, but you know that a happy outcome is sure. So the Holy Spirit will orchestrate it so that all parties concerned will be happy because of the outcome. That's what that means. And so you go in with that certainty. You've changed your energy. You've changed the quantum field on a subtle level. You've affected her mind, and you've set yourself up for a miracle rather than for a conflict.
Yeah, that's good.
And I'm sure it'll resolve. You'll find maybe you need to do something on the level of form to make her happy. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's just reassuring her. She just wants to see you and bring you there and get a bit of special attention. Maybe it's just a call for some company. She wants to actually just hang out with someone, and she wouldn't be conscious of this, but underneath it, that's what's going on. You said she's a student away from home. Maybe she's feeling a bit homesick. She's missing her parents, friends, whatever. And so, anxiety. Okay, well, let's project it out onto my landlady. But then you come in as the miracle worker and you just interpret the situation correctly. You go, well, what is this? It's a cry for love. Okay, well, the only thing to give in that instance is love. It's a cry for love. The only thing to give is love. And then you guide it as to how to do that. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to hug her, but you just peaceful. There's a kind of a welcoming presence. She doesn't feel like there's any conflict. You're not going to energize her story. You're just going to take it all down, and in that peaceful presence of oneness, then conflict kind of naturally resolves, and her mind will change depending on how anxious she is. But most people are susceptible to a change of the energy, and so they will just come down. In the Star Wars movies, I don't know if you ever watched them, the Jedi have this mind control power, so they can just bring it all down and go, right, you will let us pass very calmly. And then the stormtrooper, who hasn't got sort of any mental mind training, like just go, yes, we'll let you pass. So it's kind of, that's trying to demonstrate that someone who's a spiritual master can can change people's minds in a helpful way. You're not doing it to manipulate, control. You're doing it to try and bring that person into a greater sense of connection with their source and peace. And that's been truly helpful, if you can do that. So just, I mean, the principles really well now. Just application. It's another great. That's my, your training for this afternoon is preparation, a 2-hour call or whatever, and then you're going to go and apply it in practice, and that's the curriculum for the afternoon. And you go, okay, well, that's all good. Bring it on. I'm ready. I know how to apply these principles. It's all going to be fine. And you approach it with confidence and certainty rather than fear and doubt. And that makes all the difference. It's go like, because you're not doing it. You're going, the Holy Spirit's got it handled. So it's not me, little Sally. What can little Sally know or do? Nothing. Little Sally's probably going to mess it up because your fear and your own programming will get in the way. But if you're just open to the expansive presence of love, which knows everything, then it'll guide it. And so it's not you doing it. So, I mean, isn't that just such a relief? Oh, I don't have to handle that. It's not me. I just have to get out the way and allow it to be handled through me. Prayer to be truly helpful, or use me, use my mind, use my words, my thoughts, my actions, use it all for your purpose. And if you really genuinely do that, then you'll find that it just happens, comes through you, and there's no conscious, you don't necessarily have to plan it or consciously intend it. It's just kind of happens, and that's how miracles flow. And then again, it's confirmed to you, well, look, there was a apparently difficult situation, but again, the Holy Spirit guided me and it worked. So my faith is strengthened. So the more you have these little tests, and the more you go to the Spirit and you ask for the help, and the more it delivers, the more you go, well, okay, I get it. And why would I ever doubt this? Because this is the sure. Today he's saying a happy outcome to all situations is sure. Even the most disastrous situation. You think of some of the disasters and pain and suffering and sickness and death that happens in the world, and he's saying, well, even in those situations, a happy outcome is sure if you intend it. If you can train your mind to that intent and hold it. It's not going to happen if you allow yourself to go into fear and doubt. And so that becomes the task of the miracle worker, to stay rooted in the presence of love and the certainty and the patience and the trust and all those good qualities that come from it. Just stay rooted there and don't be tempted to go into fear. And you'll notice that you are tempted, but the discipline is don't go there. Just recognize what it is. Don't let your mind, your thoughts go there. And you can use, the helpfulness prayer. You can use the daily lesson. If you feel like just correct, go within, connect to the presence through the reminder. That's all you're doing, because that presence has all the answers.
Yeah, it has.
So very simple, but not always easy. The challenges the ego sets are designed to knock you off that, designed to trip you up and sabotage your connection to presence. That's the whole point. That's what it's trying to do. Do you see? Always. So you've got to be aware of that. So, okay, well, it doesn't matter what it throws at me, I will remain connected. And if I feel like I'm getting disconnected, I reconnect as quickly as possible. And that's all I have to do, because when I'm connected to source, then I'm guided, and I'll be guided to do whatever needs to happen in the moment. There's a great I'm using an example from Yeshua's life, which I might have mentioned before, the story of the adulteress. Did I mention that?
No.
So it's recorded in the Bible. It's one of the stories in his life, that these scribes and the Pharisees and Sadducees who were always trying to trip him up. They were basically his enemies, and they were trying to get rid of him because he was really undermining their authority. So they catch this woman in the act of adultery. The mind boggles how.
Oh yeah, the stoning one.
Yeah, how they actually did that, and then bring her before him, and they're going to use her to try and trap him. So they ask him a question which ordinarily would trip most people up. Teacher, they said, we've caught this woman in the act of adultery. The law of Moses said she should be stoned. But what do you say? And they're hoping, well, he's either going to say, no, she shouldn't. And then they say, well, you defying the law of Moses, then you should be stoned. Or he's going to say, no, well, he's going to try and protect his own skin and say, well, then yes, let's stone her. And then they'll say, well, so much for a teacher of truth. He couldn't protect her. She died. And look, the law of Moses is correct. So they've set it up so that either way he's likely to lose. But of course, he's just in presence. So it's recorded that he goes down on his haunches and he just starts drawing in the sand. And I think he was just giving himself some time. It was like, okay, let's just pause, presence, stillness, connect, ask for the guidance. And then 30 seconds or a minute later, he says one sentence, that he who has never sinned cast the first stone. And that just neutralizes the whole thing, because everyone thinks about it and says, well, I can't claim that I'm sinless. I've made mistakes. And so they all willingly drop their stones, including the scribes and the Pharisees, and they leave, and only she's left. And so he's, one wise comment changes the whole situation. And he wouldn't have known, that wasn't rehearsed. That was just like in the moment. He knew what to do, but he did, there's some principles there. He did pause. So he gave himself time. He didn't rush into it and go, oh, I'm feeling right, because that's what they wanted him to do, is react. And he gave himself the time to just pause, go down on his heels, ask for guidance. And then it just came through very simply, very clearly, very calmly, just delivered. There was no fear, and neutralizes the whole situation. And that's mastery. So we can be the same, in any situation where the temptation is to get triggered. It's just not to, just stay unmoved. It's another situation I might have talked about with the Buddha. Did I mention that? So he was apparently approached by this old guy who was deliberately coming to try and upset him. And this, it was like a challenge. Okay, well, this guy's apparently imperturbable, but I'm going to do whatever I can. So old guy comes along and he's hurling abuse at him. He's like, for 10 minutes, he's just like every possible insult you can imagine. Eventually, he's just like, he's done it for 10 minutes, and the Buddha said nothing, and he just pauses. And then the Buddha just, in the pause, he says, so, old man, he says, if someone gives you a gift, then and you refuse to take it, then whose gift is it? And the guy goes, well, I guess it would still be the giver's. He says, well, exactly. So I do not accept the gift of your abuse. It is still yours. And the guy's like, whoa, okay, that just completely changed the, no defensiveness, just out of state of presence, calmly, without any defensiveness, feeling attacked, just stating the truth. And that switched his mind. And then he went, well, I'd like to learn this. He said, can you teach me how you did that? The Buddha said, yes, of course I can teach you. And he became his disciple. And he taught him Vipassana meditation. So there you see, two masters, just in both instances, facing apparently overt attack and not reacting, just staying completely in their presence, and then being guided to say something and do something. Just, in those cases, it's actually just words. To neutralize the whole situation. And we have access to exactly the same power and presence that they had. Nothing different. They weren't extraordinarily gifted. the only people who can access this. They trained their minds to a high degree so that under pressure they could react in this very calm, peaceful way and allow the Holy Spirit to come through and guide them with wisdom and be able to neutralize the whole situation. Another one I'll share with you was did I share the one about the Aikido master? So there was this, in the train.
Oh, train one, yeah.
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 So the guys, I'll share it again for those on the recording who haven't heard it. This trainee Aikido guy. So when he was young, he wanted to practice his Aikido on someone. So he thinks, right, he's on a train in Tokyo, and this laborer comes in, and he's drunk on sake, and he's a big, uncouth, rough, and he's kind of threatening other passengers and shouting, and so he's like, right, this is the perfect opportunity. He's about to step in and do his moves, and then this old man just starts talking and engaging with the guy, and it's like some comments about the weather, and then he talks to him about the I don't know, some event that had happened, and then and over 5 or 10 minutes he brings him to the point where eventually this big uncouth laborer is sobbing his heart out and the guy's holding him, stroking his head, because he's like, oh, I'm so miserable, I've got no one to share my life with. And that's what was going on. He was actually feeling lost and lonely and afraid, and then with the effect of the alcohol, that all came out in violence and aggression. But this old man could see beyond that, and he saw the cry for love, and then just with patience and wisdom just talked him down. No violence necessary. And then the guy was okay. He realized that was Aikido. That was the essence of the martial arts. Not about because Aikido is a martial art where there's no punching or kicking. You can never attack the other person. You can only use their force and redirect it, which is really very synonymous with what we're doing spiritually. So someone's coming at you, you don't respond with attack, you just let it slide by. You're like, okay, well, I'll just let that go, and I'll let that go, and I'll use the energy of the attack to redirect it and to actually undo that attack, and ideally disarm the person so that they can't harm me or anyone else or themselves. That's the Aikido master's goal, not to win. So these principles are there in all the great spiritual teachings and martial arts, which are also part of that, for us to learn from and apply. So you become the martial artist, the master in action. And today you get tested. You go, okay, well, go into a potentially difficult situation where conflict could arise, and don't respond in the normal way, and apply these things and see how it works. And then then you've learned from experience. It's not a story. I mean, those stories can inspire you, but it's your experience. You've had it, and okay, well, this really does work. So it's about generalizing the lesson. The Holy Spirit's trying to generalize it to every situation. So in every situation, this is applicable. Don't react. Don't respond in anger. And if you can learn that, I mean, that's an enormously powerful life lesson to learn, to be able to have that skill. That's mastery. So just another step towards that. And then it's amazing how the Holy Spirit gives you this curriculum where you actually have to practice it and do it.
That's what it feels like.
So a happy outcome to all situations is sure, because you give it to the Holy Spirit, and although it's a challenging one, you know that there's a miracle on the other side, and so it's a done deal. And you just show up in that certainty, knowing that it's going to be fine and you'll be guided. You don't know exactly what you're going to say and what you're going to do, but that's the trust. You will just be inspired and guided in the moment. And then you never need to fear, because that guidance is always there. It's never not there. Just have to learn. It's only not there if you deny it and you allow yourself to go into fear. And anger and guilt and any other negative emotion just covers it over. So that's the ego strategy. Try and get you to deny it, so you're not in the presence, and then it's hijacked your mind, and then it perpetuates itself through you. Then you become the instrument of the ego, and that's what we call being possessed. The more you do that, the more you become possessed by this really dark negative force. It's now using you to perpetuate its thought system. And those are the choices. There's no in between. You're either going to be used by the ego for its evil purposes, or you're going to be an instrument of the spirit to work only good. There's no in between. There's no neutral. I think lesson 17 and 18, it says that I see no neutral things, and I have no neutral thoughts. So it's one or the other, and you need to choose in every moment. So I hope that's good. Well, we'll carry on with the preparation. When do you have to go, by the way?
2:30, hour and 20 minutes.
All right. So let's crack on with us then. Let's have a look at today's quote. So yeah, you can read that.
Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration.
Thomas Edison. You might have heard before. It's a typical motivational quote, but I've given hopefully a little bit of a different take on it. So I'm going to read the commentary on it.
This quote from Thomas Edison, an American inventor who invented, amongst many other things, the first easily usable light bulb, telephone and electric power generation and distribution to homes, businesses and factories on a mass scale, seemingly states the obvious. But as we've learned from studying the Course in Miracles, the obvious truth has been obscured by the ego and needs to be stated and often repeated over and over for the truth to be revealed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Thomas Edison was known for his persistence. He had the most number of patents filed in the world. Apparently tried something like 700 different substances before he finally got the one that worked for the light bulb. So he just kept trying and trying, and there was no such thing as failure in his life. It's just like, well, we've learned another way not to do it. The story goes that some of his assistants came to him and said, well, look, we failed on this 500 times. And he said, no, you haven't failed 500 times. You found 500 ways not to do it, how not to do it. And so you're much closer than anyone else to figuring out how to do it. So it's just like shifting the perspective on failure, which is, why he achieved the success he did, because he just didn't see it as a failure. He saw it as, okay, well, I just found another way not to do it, but I'll keep going until I find a way to do it. So persistence, per 99% perspiration, that he talked about in his quote. And so he did a massive amount of work, and his mission was to help improve the quality of people's lives through his inventions. It's quite extraordinary. There's a bit of research on it. At least one small invention every week, and a large society-changing one every 6 months. I mean, talk about, like, most people would go, well, just the idea of changing the world is just way too big for me, so I won't even go there. This guy's like, every 6 months I'm going to change the world. And he actually did. He did, invented, as I said, the telephone, he didn't always invent them, but he perfected them. So he would take an existing invention and go, okay, let's improve it. Power generation, DC current, and thousands of others that have now come into common usage. And right now we're a beneficiary of his genius, because we have electric power that allows us to talk and do these kinds of things. So the impact of one man who's got the right mindset, can be, there's a legacy that can last for a very, very long time. So if you want to read, to most people, the idea of changing the world.
To most people, the idea of changing the world at all is too big to even contemplate. So to consciously intend to change the world every 6 months and naturalize that intention through work and organization, he pioneered the modern corporate research and development process by building a team of talented people dedicated to developing new products. Is both extremely visionary or inspired, and self-disciplined or perspired.
I made that up, but that's perspired and inspired.
Mm.
So it's a combination. I think inspiration is great, but too many people, they'll have an inspiration. How many people can have ideas? It's not difficult to have an idea. Oh, that would be nice. And then they don't do anything about it. And I think Bill Gates said, if you don't do anything about a new idea within 24 hours, it's unlikely you ever will. It's quite true. So take some action on it, and start the ball rolling. Okay, even if it's just doing some research on the idea, or registering a domain name, or making a phone call. You do something to start the ball rolling. So the inspiration needs to be actualized through work, and that work becomes the affirmation of your belief. So the most powerful form of affirmation is action. That's the way you're saying, yes, I believe this inspiration. I'm going to listen to the guidance. And so that's why we often have to act this out, although ultimately it's all just belief we're talking about. Our hero's journey often involves action, because through the action, we learn that these beliefs are true. You might want to write that one down. Action is the most powerful form of affirmation.
Yeah, that's
because
brilliant.
It is. It's like I can speak it. We know it's easy to speak a good game. Just look at politicians. But do the actions match? Now, if the actions match consistently, that's called integrity. And there's very few people who have that their words, their thoughts, and their actions are all in alignment, and they never contradict themselves, and everything is in alignment. That's a truly integrous person, and that's what makes people leaders. That they act consistently in a way, and then people go, okay, I can follow this person because there's consistent integrous action that shows me that they really do believe. Their value system, they believe it because they're acting on it consistently. If you say you believe something and then you act contrary to it, then clearly you don't believe it. That's why action is the most powerful form of affirmation, because you actually have to actualize it by acting on it and learning yourself. As you do that, you teach not only others, but you teach yourself that you do believe that, and that that is actually what you value. And so when you get tested, all integrity is just a test of, well, will you hold to your principles and act in accordance with those, or will you compromise because it's not expedient to hold to your principles? That's really the essence of integrity, isn't it? You hold to your principles no matter what. And we admire the people who do hold to their principles no matter what. Those are the what we call people who've led great lives. Think of Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther and Mahatma Gandhi and Yeshua, the great spiritual masters. They hold to the principle no matter what. That's what distinguishes greatness from just mediocre compromise and going, well, yeah, I kind of have that principle, but if it's expedient, I'll just kind of fudge it and I'll just do what my ego tells me to do. So we've been called upon to really walk that talk. And if we can do that, the combination of the visionary inspired with the self-disciplined and perspired, so you actually actualize it in action and work on it consistently, that is what makes changes. That's what the miracle worker is all about. So Yeshua is saying to us, says, the Holy Spirit needs your eyes and your ears and your hands and your feet and your willingness to do its work in the world. He's not saying just sit and meditate all day and be passive. He's actually saying go into the world and do the work and be truly helpful, because that's going to help you as well as other people, to learn this curriculum of the at-one-ment. And so it's a very active, dynamic path, which contrasts with some other approaches where you just sit. The Eastern teachings often they say, well, just withdraw from the world and sit in meditation all day. Eventually that will work as well, but Yeshua's saying, look, this is a quicker way. I'm giving you the quickest way. By actively engaging in the world in this way, you're going to get all the lessons you need. So it's going to fast track your development, because as you engage in the world, then the Holy Spirit's got the opportunity to reinterpret the challenges that are inevitably going to come your way. And those are the learning situations that really help you to learn the truth and apply it and develop the integrity to go, no, I hold some of this thought system no matter what. And expect to be tested, because that's the whole point. To deepen your faith, you need the test, don't you? It's like any training program. You don't. If a training program's easy, there's no training. It's like too easy. There's no development. So you have to be stretched and tested in the training to develop your skills and develop as a whatever you're training in. In this case, it's just training your mind to be happy and to be a miracle worker. So if you want to read the next one, this is a powerful combination.
This is a powerful combination that can help you achieve the most important goal in life, which is not the progress through technological innovation that Edison dedicated his life to, but being generally happy, sharing your happiness with other people through your words and actions in your own unique way.
So that's the purpose. Edison, he was trying to do good in his own way, but he was doing it through technological means, saying, well, if we improve technology, that's going to make people's lives better. And on the surface, on the surface level, it has. I mean, we have electric power and we have conveniences we didn't have 150 years ago. But has it actually genuinely made people happier? Well, that's arguably not. I've done a lot of research, and they found that beyond I think it's about $8,000 of income. If you have a sort of reasonable middle class kind of life and income, and money doesn't make any more difference. And more amenities and facilities, it doesn't make any difference. So some of the happiest people live in the poorest countries, paradoxically, because they're not on the hedonic treadmill. Bhutan, I think, is the highest happiness. They don't measure gross domestic product. They measure happiness, and they have like the happiest people in the world, apparently, even though they're certainly not the richest, because there's an acceptance. It's like, okay, well, if I just accept what I have and I'm contented with that, then I'm happy. And it's interesting because you look at some of these traditional societies. Like I was watching a program about Tibet, or was it Nepal? But one of those remote mountain kingdoms, and everyone was quite happy, and they had these, very functional little houses, and they were pretty, and then as soon as the Western stuff came in, and they started, selling Western stuff, and they had access to radio and TV, and suddenly the society became dramatically less happy. And that happened in like a decade. And so researchers went and said, well, what's going on? Why is that? Because suddenly those people were no longer happy with what they had, because they'd been shown something else and they now desired something else. And exactly Buddha's insight, well, desire is the source of all suffering. So now their dukkha, their suffering went up because they were no longer contented with what they had. They wanted something else that was being shown to them. And then that created all kinds of dysfunction in society, lots of unhappiness, and then drug abuse and alcohol addiction, and on and on it goes, because people are not happy, and then they seek to find their happiness externally. So happiness is really what it's about, especially in today's world. We've got the technology. Okay, I suppose if they keep developing, we might have AI robots who one day brush our teeth. God help us, whatever. But But is that really going to make us any happier? I would argue not at all. We've probably got to a point where, okay, you've actually got enough. The basics are covered. If you're living in a sort of westernized first world country, your standard of life's pretty good. You have all the kind of amenities you need, not to make you unhappy. You've got enough food, you've got warm clothes, you've got a car. These kinds of things are kind of sorted, so you're not physically suffering hardship. So then, more technology is probably not going to make you happy. In fact, it's probably going to make you more distracted, take you down a path of more and more distraction. Whereas happiness is that actually the overriding goal and purpose, and that's what every philosopher, spiritual master, teacher through the ages has been looking at, saying, well, ultimately, if you're not happy, what's the point? So let's look at that. What's required to be happy? That's the question. That's the ultimate question. What is actually needed to be happy? So let's continue, because we'll talk about that. So this is what
called special function in the Course in Miracles, a task that only you can do and will be guided and supported to accomplish if you're willing to undertake it. This is what Joseph Campbell, who conceptualized the hero's journey, called following your bliss, and is the essence of being in the state of flow. That phrase used to drive me mad. Follow your bliss. I kept hearing it everywhere. Follow your bliss. Well, I would flipping well follow my bliss if I knew how. I thought it meant that you're guided to go and physically do something. Then I'd be happy in my state. I didn't really realize what it meant, the flow of it and the constant changing and just going with it. But yeah, it used to drive me nuts, that phrase.
Well, your bliss is your underlying happiness. So what it's saying is that underlying state of happiness is now going to inspire you, and you follow that. There's guidance that comes from that. And that guides you to do things and say things in the world that are now inspired.
But when you're a long way away from that,
lost
in the ego illusion, you go, well, of course I want to follow my bliss. I've read the books. I know the words, but how do I feel it?
I was listening to Simon Sinek, I've referred to before. The guy teaches about the infinite game, and he's doing a talk, and he said, he went through his own midlife crisis and things weren't so great. And then he would say, people would say to me, just follow your bliss. And you go right, that's really helpful. I'm in the depths of despair and a midlife crisis. You tell me to follow my bliss. What the hell? But it is the truth. It's not necessarily helpful when you're at the bottom of the barrel going, well, I'm really just not even close to feeling bliss. So it's the process of starting to let go of some of those misperceptions and starting to be foundationally happy. That's the work we're doing. If you can just learn to correct your mind, let go of anything that's making you unhappy, then you're establishing that foundational happiness and peace. And now from that stage, you can listen to guidance. If you get to that state where you're pretty imperturbable, you can now be very, very useful to the Holy Spirit, and it can guide you. Say, okay, so all of that distraction has been taken away. Now you can now start to listen to this voice and then follow it. And it's coming from that place of happiness. So that's what Joseph Campbell means. And then it's guiding you, not because it's going to say, well, do that to find happiness. No, you're already happy. Your bliss is already there, but it's the extension of the bliss, the expression of the bliss, which is what Yeshua calls the special function. So in your own unique way, you're guided to extend this outwards to other people in a way that's helpful. And then the more you do that, the more it reinforces that happiness in your own mind. And so that's how you learn it. So your higher purpose or your special function is designed to help you to learn this so well that there's no doubt anymore. You absolutely know this because you've walked it, you've spoken it, you've acted it, you've lived it, and you've seen the results of it. You've seen the miracles. And then so have others. So the side effect of your own hero's journey is that many people benefit. But in the end, primarily, you're doing it for yourself. That's the interesting thing. It's your own journey of awakening, which, of course, because there's only one self, is everyone's awakening. So it all somehow is orchestrated by this divine intelligence called the Holy Spirit in a miraculous way for everyone's highest good. But you can't on your own even fathom that. There's no way you can know, what is the right thing to say or to do if you're not tapped in and listening to that intelligence. So does that clarify it a little bit for you? You probably understood all that already, but
yeah, but it's interesting looking back on it. I can see it from the old point of view, that it was a paradox I couldn't sort out, just like, yeah. But
you
now
can't understand it from the level
no
of the ego. It's not possible. You have to go above that. You said the significant problems we face, Einstein said, significant problems we face can't be solved at the same level of thinking we're at when we created them. So you can't work this out with egoic thinking. It doesn't make sense.
No.
You have to be willing to let go of, I think you were probably still thinking, well, when I follow my bliss, then I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Rather than, no, when I'm happy, then I'll be able to follow my happiness or my bliss. So it's inside out rather than outside in. But that, it sounds very simple, but that's a fundamental paradigm shift for most people in their lives. Oh, happiness is not outside of me. I'm not seeking it in anything outside of me in the world. It's within me, and I'm inspired to follow the guidance that I'm getting from that source, which then extends the happiness. I'm not looking for it. I'm not seeking for it. I'm expressing it. I'm extending it. I become an instrument of happiness in the world. And all my thoughts and my words and actions are directed by the happiness that I'm already feeling. And it can be enhanced. The more I give it, the more I receive it. So it's enhanced in me when I do that. But it was already there. I have to have connected to that first in order to do that. Otherwise, it's not authentic. I'm following my bliss, seeking something outside of me. That's not following your bliss. That's chasing your bliss. Different, very, very, very big difference, isn't it? Am I going to chase the bliss? And a lot of people are chasing bliss. Oh, no, when I do that, when I have that, when I ingest that substance, whatever it is, I'm chasing it. But there's that desire. So you're in the suffering because you've never arrived. You're just chasing. And even if you temporarily get it, let's say you take a drug and you go into an ecstatic state for a while, and then you come down. It doesn't last because it wasn't authentic. It wasn't coming from within you. It was coming from something outside of you. And that's the nature of addiction. Then you've got to chase it some more. And you get a little reward from the ego, and then, okay, well, I've got to get some more of that. And so we get addicted to the chase. But knowing that you already have it, there's no addiction. It's a deep knowing that it's there. And now that is what guides you and inspires you to think and act and speak. And the more that happens, of course, the more that it's reinforced in you. There's a strengthening of that connection. So eventually, if you really follow your hero's journey, you go the full circuit, and you come out at the other end of it. Let's just find the diagram quickly. So you come around to the return, and you've really done this. Then you're so rooted in it that you're unshakable. You're imperturbable. It's just, well, none of those challenges and temptations that would have knocked you off when you were on your outward journey can now affect you because you've overcome them all. And you're the master. And so, in those stories that we shared of Yeshua and the Buddha and the old man on the train, they'd attained a state where they were able to do that. And then people go, well, that's mastery. But they've been on a hero's journey to get there. It didn't just happen. There was a process of learning to get to the ability to do that. And then be able to be truly helpful to others by sharing those gifts. Okay, so let's go back here.
What was occurring to me while you were talking was about how somebody will say they're unhappy in their job, so they want to change their job so they feel happier. And I say to them, no, you've got to be happy where you are. You can't find another job while you're feeling unhappy. And then I was thinking about my situation and thinking, I am happy and I've got an unhappy tenant. And in the old days, it would have been, I'll be happy when the tenant's happy. Now it's, I'm happy. I invite the tenant to be happy. It's such a different viewpoint, isn't it?
It's so simple. You think, why didn't I get that long ago? I mean, surely that's obvious, but it's not for most people.
No, it's not.
It's just been obscured, and they think that it's outside in. Their reality is now outside in instead of inside out. So they're believing in, just go here, integral model. They believe in the external world, and that's causative. Oh, someone's done something, and that's made me upset. You made me upset. That's what kids say, but adults say it as well. It's your fault. You made me upset. You're the problem. It's the belief in an external world, you see, which we're addicted to. The ego is addicted to. So to turn this around and say, no, actually, no one can make me upset. It's my response to anything that makes me upset. I choose. There's a choice there. It's so simple, but that's the essence of all spiritual growth. When you make that shift in your mind, you go, oh, I actually have a choice as to how I'm going to perceive this. That's when you start waking up, because you start realizing I actually do have a choice. I'm not a powerless victim of external circumstances, as the ego would like you to believe. Actually, I have a choice in every situation, no matter what's happening here. Yes, people will do what they do. Not everyone is awoken. Not everyone's conscious. So, you're going to face the unconsciousness of the ego repeatedly in this world. That's how it's set up. But you always have a choice as to how you're going to perceive it. And that's massively empowering. Okay, I don't have to respond as a victim anymore. I can make a choice and I can see it differently, and I can let it go, and I can rise above that, and I can be peaceful and happy and calm no matter what is thrown at me. That, that's all it is. That's all we're training. It's like, it is extraordinary that it takes so long and so much time and energy for such a simple idea to kind of drop. But because the other idea is so deeply entrenched in our minds, and that idea has become the foundation of our entire reality. The idea that there's an external world, that we're at the effect, not the cause of it, that we're our bodies. The external world exists. We are governed by, the seeming rules outside of us. That's all part of a thought system that's false. But we've believed in it so much that we've set up an entire reality based on that thought system, which now needs to be undone. And that's why it's challenging. But actually very simple. The truth is true. These principles are true and real, and they work. You can see them working if you apply them in your life, in other people's lives. They always work, because the truth is always true. You don't necessarily know how they're going to work and when they're going to work. That's part of the letting go. But you know that ultimately, as Yeshua says in the lesson today, a happy outcome to all situations is sure, because the principles work if you apply them. It's all about, it comes down to you. Are you applying them or not? Okay. So you want to read the next one? You haven't yet found your special function.
If you haven't yet found your special function, higher purpose, or bliss, you may well be wondering what you can do about it. You will do well to take Charles Glassman's advice given in this quote that I shared in the email I sent a couple of days ago. Happiness often relies on one character trait, self-discipline.
So can you be disciplined? in your practice of happiness. That's what it comes down to. People say, I want to be happy, but there's no discipline. There's no like, well, that depends on me then. I've got to change my mind. The easy way is that, well, I look for something else to make me happy. I want to be happy. Oh, that'll bring it to me. All I've got to do is go get that, something external. So I don't really have to fundamentally change my mind or do the internal work. Which of course doesn't work. And you might say, well, what do I actually do? What does that self-discipline entail? Well, pick a program or path like this and say, okay, I'm just going to do this as you've done. All right, I've got all the messages, the resources, it's all there. So let me just do it. Let me read the messages. Let me listen to the recordings of the meditations and the breath breaks. Let me use it diligently, daily, and that's how I practice this. And that's self-discipline, and you've made it part of your life. Just okay, that's how you live. And then it becomes second nature. It's like, well, it's not really self-discipline. And some people might go, wow, you spend 2 to 3 hours a day on a call, and then spend another hour or two meditating. That's a lot of effort, but it just becomes the way you live, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But to get there, you had to kind of go, okay, so I've got to make some changes. And there's a discipline to make it into a habit that's just then a default habit, and you just do it. And a lot of people are not willing to go through the pain of that. Oh no, there's resistance to change. I don't want to do that. And so they never get into the habit. And then the changes are limited. Because in the end, you've got to practice. The ideas themselves, they're true and they're life-changing. But if you don't practice them, apply them, and really deeply understand them and experience their effects for yourself, then they can't really help you very much. They're just sort of theoretical, nice ideas.
I'm very aware of the similarity between the words discipline and disciple. It's like follower, isn't it? You're following a
yeah. You're following a course that's been set by a teacher. That teacher is ultimately the Holy Spirit, the teacher of love. But that, in this world, that plays out. And we've got A Course in Miracles as a book. There's the Art of Letting Go program, and there's many other. These are not the only ones. There's many other forms of it. But it's about picking one that you resonate with and saying, okay, let's go deeper into this. Don't scatter your energy in multiple different directions. Someone once saying to me, oh, I'd like to do your program, but I've got about 10 other programs going, so there's just no way. I'm like, well, good luck with that. Where are you going to get with 10 other programs simultaneously? I mean, it's obvious that it's not a very intelligent approach.
For me, it was very egoic. It was like, I'd be scrolling on my phone and get an invite for a course, and you watch the freebie, and then it's like, oh, something there, maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's the thing that's going to solve everything. And then I'd sign up for this, and I'd go and do that. And I suppose it's the coming home bit where you come back to the idea is there's nothing out there. There's nobody else that's got the answer. It's only me that's got the answer, and that's within me. And how best can I connect with that answer as often as possible? For me, it's to come on here as absolutely as often as I can.
Yeah, so you find your way to connect with the source that's within you, whatever that practice may be. And if you find a way that works, then okay, that's a good spiritual practice for you. But you need to do that. If you don't make the effort to connect, it's very easy to get disconnected. You can know the principles, you can have read the book. Some people say, oh yeah, I've read that book. And you kind of get that they're not really practicing it. I've read it. No, you don't read A Course in Miracles. You live A Course in Miracles. It's something you're practicing, you're studying. It's meant to be, it's what's called a workbook. It's meant to be worked through and used and applied and these principles then become something you live, rather than just a book that you read with some good ideas. And that only happens through the disciplined spiritual practice that you're willing to do. No one can do that for you. I've set up a program to help people. Okay, look, all the tools are there and the sessions are there, but if you don't do it, then it's kind of, again, self-evident. Well, no one can help you then if you don't do it. You actually have to show up and spend the time doing whatever elements you choose to. That there's an element of choice. Okay, well, maybe not everyone can join every day, but maybe you can listen to the recordings then. Listen to recordings while you're driving home, or while you're cooking, or doing something else. And so just find a way to make it work. And this isn't really so much for you as for anyone on the recording. Find a way to make it work for you, because it's a gift to yourself. You're giving, whenever you do spiritual practice, you're giving to yourself happiness, peace, joy, flow. All these things we all say we want. You're opening yourself to the experience of those. And join us, for as many calls as you can. That's what I'd recommend to people. If you can join more than once a week, then do, because what happens here is something that happens in the dialogue and the interaction that's difficult to get on your own.
Yeah, and it's being in the field of energy, isn't it?
Exactly. And if there's more people, well, maybe that gets even stronger. No, well, we'll see. Tends to, maybe there's an optimal number, an optimal group size of maybe it's 5 or 10 people or something. But it does seem to be a bit stronger when there's more people. Whether that's the case with 100 people, I don't know.
There's pros and against, aren't there? There's pros and against the big groups, because you can get lost in it. I like about 8, I think, is a good number.
I reckon that's about the optimal number. Yeah. So we're not even close to that. There's still plenty of space for other people to join and fill those numbers, and then get whatever. This is an opportunity for the Holy Spirit to work with you in this time. So if you need to learn something, then it will use the situation for your highest good.
Yeah, I think the ego comes in, doesn't it, and says, oh, I don't like reading out loud, or I don't like it being recorded, or I'm too busy. I don't know, what are the other excuses I've come across?
Many reasons.
It's a bit in your face.
I've got a job. I work during the day. I can't take an hour or 2 off. Okay, maybe if maybe that's the case, then you have to listen to recordings. But then there's evening sessions, so you could join the evening sessions.
Amazing what can happen. It's amazing though, isn't it? If you really are determined that you're going to do it, there's a way that will happen. I know my sister-in-law in Italy, she wanted to do something for 2 hours every lunchtime, and she said, oh, there's no way her boss would allow her. But of course they have that siesta time, so she got a job which had the 2-hour siesta break, and she's able to do it. So I think
a lot of people these days work flexi time, they're working from home or whatever. So it's like, well, you could actually take time. I know one lady who starts work at 12 because she likes to go to bed late. So she's organized with employers. Well, look, I want to start at 12 and I want to work till 7 or 8 at night. And they went, okay, as long as you do the work, doesn't matter. So there is a way if you really want to, but it's your commitment. When you commit it, then the things move.
We don't always realize it's our resistance, though, do we? The classic, you blame the outside. I always think of I had a neighbor that used to want to come around and walk the dog first thing in the morning, and I used to say to him, oh, can you come a little bit later? I'm not up by then, I'm still in the shower. And it's a bit like I can't relax in the morning because I never know when you're going to knock on the door. And so he'd got his routine and he wasn't going to change his routine, but also I wouldn't change mine. And so he's no longer available to come. He doesn't want to come around anymore, he's not well. And then I realized, I could have just changed my routine. I could have just gone to bed an hour earlier and got up an hour earlier, or whatever it was. Now my routine's completely different, and I could easily do it, easily. And I could see it was just my resistance to him coming round unannounced, not sure what time. And yeah, it made me feel uncomfortable, and I blamed the timing of it. That was a good lesson.
Yeah. So you can always, if you take responsibility, it's like, well, always ask yourself, well, what can I do? What can I do to change it? Because that's what it comes down to. If you make the move, then the universe supports you. The spirit supports you, as we say, to be more accurate, through whatever means. So okay, so you committed. So we'll make this possible. And this, my own experience with this program, when I'm 4.5 years into it, it's been quite extraordinary, like the kind of assistance that I've got to be able to do it and actually complete it to a high standard. Because there's no, like 4 years ago, I had no idea how I'd do that. I'm like, well, let me just start to 6 weeks. That's and then it just unfolded, and somehow things just arranged themselves so that I was able to do it. And that's how it works. You just get guided, and you get what did Joseph Campbell say? He said, doors will open where doors were not before, where doors didn't exist before, something like that. Doors will open to you where doors won't open for anyone else, because it's your unique journey. And if that needs to happen, then Spirit finds a way. So if you really authentically follow your bliss, then miracles do happen to support that. Because you're doing what you're supposed to do, and you're serving the at-one-ment. You're serving this universal purpose. And so then you align with the power that's behind that, which is the Holy Spirit. And it has the power to, because it can interpret the world and therefore change the world, it has the power to manifest things through you and through other people, through the minds of people involved here. So that's what you would call conscious manifestation. Not really, I don't like the word particularly. It's more like inspired. It's an inspired, surrendered kind of allowing it to happen, rather than you saying, well, I want this to happen. But you must make the first move. That's really the thing. So you move and you say, okay, I'm committing, and then you change, and then things change. But most people are waiting for something else to change. Well, when this happens, remember one flatmate I had once, he said, well, he was an estate agent. He said, maybe if I win the lottery, I then start my own agency or something. I'm like, well, how likely is that? You got a 14 million to 1 probability of that happening. Why don't I just go, well, I'll start my own agency anyway. I don't have to wait to win the lottery. I'll just do it. But that's the difference between, say, an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs of the world are people who are self-activated. They're like, okay, let me do it. And someone who's waiting for someone else to do it. And those people often become employees because they need someone to instruct them what to do. And the having to initiate it themselves is a bit scary. But if you really learning this, then they're being told what to do is anathema. You're like, no, I'm going to listen to my inner guidance and I'll follow that. I don't need anyone else, any worldly authority to tell me what to do. And you can't listen to those false voices anymore. So interesting that often entrepreneurship and spiritual growth are go hand in hand. They're associated. If you look at this, so we'll go into the lesson because I'm aware of the time. If you look at the map of consciousness, David Hawkins' map of consciousness, inspiring optimism is at 310 on the scale, so about a third of the way up, which is characterized by willingness, it's hopeful, things are inspiring, and the process is intention. You set intentions, and that's quite high up on the scale. So in order to be, a successful entrepreneur, you would probably need to be at 310 at least. And then, that experience, if you can get there and stay there consistently, that will take you into higher levels like forgiveness, reasoning, transcendence. But often, that the path for someone like that is to experience that, to learn that first. So they then got a foundation of positivity on which they build. And then forgiveness is the next one. Okay, well, now in this, you're probably still quite attached to outcomes. In this, you start to let that go. And then that might show up in your life as, if you're, let's say, an entrepreneur, you have a challenge in business and you've got to let go and you've got to release it. Maybe you lose your business, the business goes bankrupt or whatever. Well, then that would be the opportunity to go to the next level, wouldn't it? So all things happen for good, even if they don't seem to, especially when they don't seem to. It's actually happening for your evolution, your spiritual growth. And, especially the challenges, that's why they're there. Okay, so I need to tab away. Any other thoughts on this? Brings us to the lesson. So happy to move on to the lesson.
I had an inspired idea while you were talking. What to do with my
tenant. What to do with your?
What to do with the tenant?
Right.
What to offer?
Okay. There you go.
Something I was going to do anyway, but I think by offering her the new bathroom, because we were going to fit out the new bathroom anyway, offer the new bathroom as first step. It always makes you feel good when you have a new done.
Yeah. And then it's difficult for it to be angry. Oh, well, you just offered me a new bathroom. So
yeah. I was going to do it anyway, and I didn't do it because I thought she was a bit stressed right now, but actually that's good timing.
Yeah.
All right. So a happy outcome to all things is sure. A happy outcome to all situations is certain.
Happy outcome to all situations is certain. It's quite a statement, really. Again, these are profound, radical statements. Okay, all situations, no exception. So whatever the situation is, as disastrous as it may seem to be, we're talking, sickness, suffering, pain, death, this is all the stuff that ego's invented. A happy outcome is always certain, even if someone's died. That takes some doing, as he said in the remember development of trust, the 5th stage, saying the teacher of God must learn to lay aside all judgment, all his own judgment, and let all that go and open only to the guidance of the Spirit. And so that this is that lesson. This is how it would express. To have the faith that a happy outcome is certain no matter what's happening. So I've laid aside my own judgment, and you go, well, I can't really judge because on the level of form it looks like a disaster, but I don't judge it on the level of form anymore. I'm ready to let that go, and know that beyond whatever the challenge or the difficulty is, there is a deeper good that will reveal itself if I allow it to, and I don't get stuck in negativity. And so if you can do this, you become very resilient to the, as Shakespeare put it, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. It doesn't matter what seems to happen. You know that a happy outcome to all situations is certain, no matter what. And you have the trust and the faith that in time it will all work out, and you're just going to allow that. You're going to be guided. So you might need to do some things. But it's the attitude that's primary, isn't it? If you don't have this attitude and you go, oh, that's a disaster and that's a disaster and that's terrible, you live in a state of constant fear, which is, of course, where the ego wants you to be. Okay, so let's have a look at look at the teaching then. So if you want to read paragraph 1.
Perfect love's promises make no exceptions, and it guarantees that only joy can be the final outcome found for everything. Found. That's interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Found. I always think of the word found as when you've lost something and you find it, but I suppose it means we have lost joy, and coming home to is finding it. Okay, now.
Well, you could even take away found, but I don't know, maybe we should keep it there. What do you think? Final outcome for everything. Do you need found?
No, we don't.
Superfluous? Is it better without it or with it?
Well, as soon as I hear found, it feels like, no, it feels like we've lost it. We haven't lost it. We've never lost joy.
Yeah. That's not really, it's not really necessary, that word, so you'll just take it up. Only joy can be simpler, isn't it? Can be the joy of final outcome for everything.
Yeah. It's clearer energy.
Yeah.
Yet it is up to me when this is reached. How long I let an alien awareness appear to be opposing perfect loves. And while I think this awareness is real, I will not find the end. Pure formless awareness of perfect love is determined as the outcome for all problems I perceive, all trials I face, and every situation I encounter.
Yeah, thoughts on that? So I've translated, the original was will, my will and the will of God. And I've translated will into awareness.
I will not find the end. Again, that feels a bit like searching, doesn't it?
When I think this awareness is real, I will not find. Yeah, but look at the context. While I think this awareness is real, I will not find.
Yeah.
It.
So in your mind, you are looking for the end.
I'll still be seeking. Yeah, but I'll never find it.
Yeah. Okay. Yet the ending is certain. For perfect love's awareness is here on earth and in the state of pure formless awareness. I seek and find according to its awareness, which guarantees that my true awareness is always with me. I seek and find according to its awareness.
So the original is, we will seek and we will find according to his will.
Yeah, I get that, yeah.
So I seek, if there's a call, see, the reason he uses the seeking and the find and then the finding is because in us there's a sense of a disconnection. Now we have the search, and of course he's addressing us where we are. Most people are seeking still. They're reading this, so he's saying, well, you'll seek, but you'll also find. And in fact, they're simultaneous, but you haven't quite realized that. When you realize that seeking and finding, there's actually no need to seek anymore because you've already found it, then the seeking is over. And
when it says I seek and find according to its awareness, it, for me, that kind of touches on pure formless awareness rather than the awareness of the ego illusion.
Yeah. So according to the higher awareness, capitalized awareness, I seek and find. So there's a call in me. That call is the remembrance of love, which you've denied and repressed. And now, but there's a remembrance of it. So that feels like something's calling you, doesn't it? There's something there that just wants to be heard. So you seek according to that awareness. It's inspiring you. And then it takes you on a journey to find that awareness and to really accept it into your heart. So from just a call, there's a voice there saying, well, go and explore, to actually finding it and going, no, this is me. This higher self, this loving awareness is my own awareness. That's the hero's journey. To actually move from just seeking to actually being established in it, rooted in it as a master. That's what he's referring to here.
Yeah, I get that now.
That awareness guarantees that my true awareness is always with me. Because it's always there. I can't not have it. A done deal. Well, it's always there. It's never gone away. So all I've got to do is accept it. Stop denying it, really. That's what he's saying to us. Stop denying this. Let go of the denial of truth, which are the blocks, the awareness of love's presence, and then you will realize that it's there and it's always been there. That you share that awareness. It's so simple, really, isn't it? The more you go, oh my God, like, why is it so seemingly so complicated? You think of some of the difficulty, the difficult things that many religions and spiritual paths ask people to do, all in the name of salvation. You go, but it's actually so simple. It's just your own awareness. It's like, why do we struggle so much to accept that? So that's the insane world the ego's invented. It doesn't make any sense. We struggle because it's made up a false identity in a false world to perpetuate itself, and so nothing here really makes any sense. Okay, so any thoughts on paragraph 1?
No, that's enough.
That awareness, just merge with that awareness. And when you merge with it, then it's yours and you found it.
Yeah, stop denying it and it's here now. All right, last one. I thank you, my source, for your guarantee of only happy outcomes in the end. Help me not interfere and so delay the happy endings you have promised me for every problem I can perceive and every trial I think I must face, still must face. Let me not interfere. Yes.
Let me not interfere in my own life, which is a bit of a foreign concept for a lot of people. Is that like, but if I don't do it, who's going to do it? You know, I have to control this. I have to manage it. So it's the surrender of that little self that thinks, well, I've got this covered, I've got it handled, and I know how to run my life. And usually people only come to a spiritual path when they've suffered enough trying to do it their way. They go, well, it's not working, so I must be open to something else. And then they come to a spiritual path, and then they're willing to listen. Okay, I actually don't know, so I'm willing to listen to the guidance and the principles that are going to totally overturn my previous belief system. So none of it's actually true. I realize none of what I believed before is true, and that's difficult for people. So I was completely clueless. I had no idea who I was, what I was doing. My entire life was false, and I need to just let all that go and just open to this intangible voice that's going to guide me through all of my experiences. It's a big ask for most people. So that's the hero's journey. That's why it's the hero's journey, and that's why it also takes time. It doesn't happen necessarily straight away. There's an unfolding journey for most people, guided by the Holy Spirit, which is their unique curriculum of the at-one-ment. Okay, so I'll give a little summary of that last paragraph, the lesson. What's he saying?
Get out the way, get the little self me out of the way, and everything will be okay.
Well, it's a very short, succinct summary.
I could feel it before I came on the call, and I often do. Before the call today, I was thinking, oh, I've got too much to do. I've got to answer that person. I've got to send that message. I've got to do that. And I really need to do that. Oh my goodness, can I fit it all in? And then I go, this other stronger part of me goes, go on the call. I just listen to the one that says go on the call, and I ignore the one that says do this, do that.
Oh, well, that's that. While you're learning, that's what you have to do, because the ego isn't just going to shut up, unfortunately, straight away. In fact, it's probably going to get louder. because it's got to now compete with this ever-strengthening voice of the Holy Spirit within you. And so it can get very loud, very noisy, and trying to get your attention and screaming. But there's a quality of desperation, isn't it? It's like it's desperately trying to get you to follow it. And the more into awareness you go, or to pure formless awareness, the more you go, no, that just really doesn't feel right. It feels desperate and unhappy. And if I honor that and I listen to that, that's just going to make me more unhappy. Okay, so we've got time for a meditation.
Yeah.
20 minutes. So just making yourself comfortable. Sitting in your favorite meditation posture, feet shoulder width apart, back straight, cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So you're breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises. The chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clenching the sphincter muscle. Lock the energy in, draw the energy up your spine, to your heart center. So now just scan your mind, breathe in again. And with each breath, you just creating a bit more light. It's really spacious awareness. So now observe any thoughts, emotions, and related body sensations that are at all negative, limiting, contracted, constricting, unhappy in any way, shape, or form. Observe them casually. And remind yourself that a happy outcome to all situations is certain. And then exhale. And then blow it all away. The breeze of your breath, like dark clouds leaving you. It's going, gone to the nothingness they really are. And then you just rest here for a few moments. In the peace and the stillness. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Nothing else to think about. Just breathe consciously in and out through your nose. So just sinking inwards, breathing in and out through your nostrils. Inhale and exhale, focus all your attention on the subtle sensation of the air in the nostrils. So just watch your breath, breathing in and out through the nose. Observe the breath and notice the spacious awareness arising in the back of your mind. So just let that space awareness arise in the stillness and the gaps between my words. your mind wants to wander and think something, anything at all, just notice it and remind yourself that a happy outcome to all situations is sure, including this one. And then breathe out and just let it go and sink inwards with each breath, getting a little bit deeper, just going deeper and deeper, each breath into the still, calm, peaceful place. And so you keep watching your breath, just listen to these words. Let them drop into your awareness. Not judgment, they're just like pebbles in a pond on a very still, calm day. Without wind. There's nowhere else to go, and there's nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Keep watching your breath and listening. These words drop in like pebbles into a pond because the mind is so still. Pebbles will have strong effect. Surface. Now listen to these profound words from Yeshua related to today's key idea, which is a happy outcome to all things is sure, or a happy outcome to all things, situations is certain in our translated language. So it says, perfect love's promises make no exceptions, and it guarantees that only joy can be the final outcome for everything. Yet, it is up to me when this is reached, how long I let an alien awareness appear to be opposing perfect loves. While I think this awareness is real, I will not find the end. Pure formless awareness of perfect love is determined as the outcome of all problems I perceive, all trials I face, and every situation that I encounter. Yet the ending is certain. For perfect love's awareness is here on earth and in the state of pure formless awareness. I seek and find according to its awareness, which guarantees that my true awareness seek and find according to its awareness, which guarantees that my true awareness is always with me. So just keep watching your breath. Sinking deeper and deeper with each breath into the stillness, the calmness, the silence that embrace you. Say to yourself, I thank you, my source, for your guarantee of only happy outcomes in the end. Help me not interfere and so delay the happy endings you've promised me. For every problem that I can perceive and every trial I think I still must face. So the guidance, support is always there. So just surrender into this inspired presence. Watching your breath and realizing that you are one with it, and it is one with you, and it's always there in every situation, no matter what the seeming challenges are. That's why a happy outcome to all situations is certain. So just rest in this deep peace and certainty. Sinking deeper into this calm, peaceful, restful state with each breath. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still. Surrender to this deep presence of love. Everything is okay there, happy outcome to all things. Everything seems to happen in the world, time and space. And just allow this present happiness to arise now in your heart and in your mind. Sinking inwards, each breath deeper and deeper. Any thoughts come up to seemingly distract you, just let them go. The help of your breath, blow them away. Nothingness they really are. Rest in this deep, quiet, happy space, awareness, place of awareness. Another couple of minutes of deep silence. So just gently come back, bring your awareness back into the body and the breath, and the senses and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. 'On the count of 3, just bring yourself back. 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pause at the top of the inhale, just observe thoughts, emotions, any body sensations. If there's anything that's not happy, any worries remaining in your mind, just remind yourself that a happy outcome to all things is certain. Happy outcome to every situation is certain. Right now, that's the case, that's true, and you blow away everything else, any doubt in that. So blow it all away. Breeze of your breath. Dark cloud leaving you. Black smoke. Exhaling it out. Notice how the air flows out. The chest and the stomach suck back in. The energy subsides back down into the lower stomach and the groin. Notice the weight of your body on the count of 2, pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling and touching with your hands. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth and a smell in your nose as you breathe in. And just notice all these things from this very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind. Nothing else to go, nothing else to do. Nothing else to think about. Just in the gap between breaths and the gap between words. Experience the state of happiness that this points to. And just anchor the state in, the state of happiness, certainty. Carry this with you for the rest of the afternoon and evening. And until tomorrow, so it is said, so it is done. To help you do that, just practice today's lesson frequently. Remind yourself about it every hour. Yeshua recommends using breath break I've sent you, or short instructions in your Telegram or email message. It'll keep you in this happy state and unworried state of inspired flow. Rather than fear. So that's what I wish for you for the afternoon and evening ahead. So it is said, so it is done. On the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. And so just look around, observe various objects in the room for 30 seconds and notice that this underlying state of happiness is still there. Doesn't matter what object you look at, it's the same. And it's teaching you that happiness is always there. It's your default state because it's your true awareness. And so it can never leave you, and it can help you reinterpret all situations in the world, which is why a happy outcome to all situations is certain, because you can reinterpret them and let go of any negative misperceptions you have about them. So that will keep you in a state of happiness and certainty. This is what I wish for you. And do join me this evening if you can for a short session. We just got 2 paragraphs to look at for the manual for teachers. It's the question of, let me just see, are changes required in the life situation of God's teachers? So only 2 paragraphs, but if you want to join at 6:30, then jump in and we'll do a half an hour session, maybe a quick meditation if you want to.
All right, we'll see.
Okay, hopefully see you
All
later.
right. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Ali, namaste. So that brings an end to the session. Do join me later, 6:30 p.m. UK time or 8:30 South African time for a short evening session to discuss the manual for teachers. Bye for now. Namaste. This means the happy self in me acknowledges and